Morning. Good morning, everyone. From the west coast of Florida. Wow, what a day yesterday. What a day in the last 48 hours. Something I'd never experienced in my life. The power of Mother Nature. Let's talk. Come on in. I saw a lot of damage on the west coast of Florida. And not just where Hurricane Idalia went, Taylor County, Dixie County, Florida, but all the way down the west coast of Florida. I've seen a lot of damage. People living over 100 miles away got a lot of damage. I can tell you, even I had phone damage. Can you guys hear my microphone okay? Can we hear myself good today? Yesterday, major technical problems as the eye of the hurricane went through. But I was in the looking at the radar and recapping, where exactly I was and pinpointed. I was literally in the eyewall, the destructive eyewall. I was not in the actual eye because the eye actually closed in, but there still was an eye, a few miles wide. But I was like at the right in it. Thank you, Liz W. Right in it. And for 2.5 hours, I've seen a complete force of nature I've never seen before in my life. I didn't know what to expect or what's going to happen, but I was curious because we keep seeing all the news about hurricanes and they're destructive. And I wanted to see for sure, because a lot of times when I cover hurricanes but not be there, but cover them afterwards, a lot of people are like, that's it. Oh, it wasn't as bad. Maybe just a small area got something. But I can tell you, I was like, wow. I seen literally almost, like in my mind, now other people might have been in them before, but it literally looked like the earth was about to pick up. Like it was at that stage where it felt like everything off the earth was ready just to blow away. Totally, humans have no control whatsoever about what is happening in that moment. It's almost like everything just being ripped away. You're the talk on true crime podcasts. Thank you. Add Storm Chaser to the resume. We're adding Storm Chaser to the resume. I'm totally doing this again. So afterwards, Perry got leveled. I did a short live, but the cell phone service went out, and it kept going out. So I just ended the stream. But like almost every single structure in Perry suffered some sort of damage. In this Perry. Now Perry is, if you look on the map, Perry's about 20 something miles from the shoreline, and it looks like they were on the corner of the eye. From business to business, there's business. I've seen roofs off, signs, aluminum structures, trees, tree damage. Like it seems like up there is a lot of pine trees. Snapped over power lines, snapped. Power lines all over the place. It was so dangerous that I really kind of just like left in that moment, because I felt like, not block the roads, get emergency personnel out there to help. I think it was a Cat 3. Remember what I was saying on my live that it was weakening, and it did weaken from a 4 to a 3. As it was hitting land, it actually, I don't know, interacted with the land, or the dry air mass got into it, or for whatever reasons. I speculate that maybe some of the cooler waters from these rivers that flow into the Gulf around that horseshoe or around that bay, that cove. It's called a cove right there at the Big Bend. Maybe that factored in. Wind shear factored in. But man, and I know you guys saw my lives, and so it was probably equivalent to about 2.5 hours of really intense, leading up. I'm in my car, and thank God you guys told me to get out of my car, right? I was going to just ride it out through my car because I was like, it doesn't seem as bad as I could think. And everyone, all of you guys are saying, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's coming, and it came. It came. And I was pinned against the hotel, which had a little cement awning on the top to kind of shield me from getting soaking wet, even though I did get wet. But I was against that building, and then the winds were pushing away from that building, so that was good until they shifted. But man, I saw those trees it really almost did sound like a freight train at different points. It was like, and it came down in phases, man. It would come down in these like strong waves of phases, like. Then it will calm a little bit, and it'll be like, and it would keep going like that. 2.5 hours, and that was a fast moving storm. But 17 miles an hour as it moves is also that 17 miles an hour wind. But I was amazed even once that eye passed, and we got and you heard them, kind of like the storm chasers around me knew their stuff. They knew their stuff. They knew like what was happening in phases as they were describing. Like they're like all these like they were talking about ground to air lightning. They were talking about these white caps that were swooping down. Like they were knowing the description of an outer wall. So they're educating me. Now I have to do a little bit more research because I'm totally into this now. But they were describing it as it was coming, and I couldn't have picked a better spot, I think. It's just for my safety because I've never done that on that extreme before. I've done low hurricane, tropical storms. I've done Hurricane Michael, but from down on the down in Pinellas County, even though it hit way north, they got a lot of surge and a lot of winds down there. But I wanted to see firsthand. I wanted to go, I wanted to go, and for the luck of me, thank God, one, it was inland more, so I wasn't worried about the surge. More worried about the winds, but then I found a hotel. I found that fortified big hotel. I'm like, this hotel, and there wasn't really any damage to that hotel. All the other businesses around there, older businesses, had a lot of roof damage. I don't know the top of the Hampton Inn. I don't know if they have hotel damage. I know their sign was down. I know all the signs around them were down. Point is, I'm doing it again. And I don't want to make light of situations where people lose property. Some unfortunately lost their lives or whatever like that. But to me, I need to see it firsthand. And I'm going to do it again. It's an addiction now. It's an addiction. It really is. I'm kind of like a thrill junkie as it is. But this was like, it is a rush, Bobby. It's a rush. And I don't even want to say this, but it's like now I want to see what a Cat 4 looks like, or a Cat 5. Now I want to be in a Cat 4 or Cat 5. Because if I do this again and it's a Cat 2 or Cat 1, I might be in this position. Well, I did a 3. 1, that's it. That's it. It might not be impressive. But it's just the force, like, it's calm out here now. Things just, imagine residents in communities like 200 years ago, not getting these, forecasts, not knowing what's coming, and then you're just in your community, and these just wall of cloud comes. You almost have like no time to prepare. You don't know what's going on. And it just, your whole world gets just rocked, literally. Because if you had no warning and that was coming, you wouldn't even know what is going on. You wouldn't even know how long it's lasting, what's going on here, what is this? I just stick with true crime. It's a lot safer. Well, true crime is not safe either. True crime is not safe when we have KILLERS on the loose, right? And we're out there in the field trying to find out who these people are, missing people. We'll talk Brian Kohlberger, you know? Like, in the middle of the night in Moscow, a few weeks after the murders happened, navigating through the neighborhoods trying to find out who did this when the KILLER could be right there waiting. Rachel Moran pulled off at Mapa Trail, you know, the person's still on the loose. It's kind of dangerous too. Some of the dangerous people I encounter doing my work in a journalistic aspect, gonzo journalists, activists, whatever, different roles in that type of field. You know, you get these people that don't like me for whatever reason, can try to confront me and make threats, emails I get, the texts I get, people dox me. I think every profession has its dangers. I think so. If you want to storm chase, please storm up with your storm chasers. No, I ride solo, but I can tell you there were some really cool people that I've met in the storm chasing field in the last 48 hours. Some of them watch this channel. Totally cool people. Yeah, I met a couple people in different, I was down there in Keaton Beach. And I was in Perry. And there was a couple storm chasers that watched this channel. And watch me. They're like, oh, how are you? And I got to meet these people and pick their brains. Because this is what they do. Storm chase. So I was trying to understand the fundamentals about how this storm chasing community, because there's a community of them, how it all works. Totally nice. They know their stuff. Like, they have little gadgets and radars and little apps to be able to determine, like, they were showing me apps that they have with different forms of radar, that forecast track, barometric pressures, buoy determination of buoys, where wind is, you know, reported on buoys. Pretty cool stuff. But I'm more of like I like to do the before, the during, and the after. Though I didn't do the after as much as I wish I should have in Perry by getting the damage. But one, I had technical problems on my phone, my microphone, my lens was all messed up on my phone. I have to get a little bit better equipment for this. But I want to go the beforehand to see communities beforehand. And I was using some of my videos that when we were going up to those communities beforehand, Cedar Key, Steinawatchee, Suwannee, Horseshoe Beach, Dark Island, Keaton Beach, Fish Creek, all these areas, then go to Perry, do the storm, and now afterward, I sit around and I now look at people's Twitters and look at the damage that was done. I was like, wow, I was there, I saw this, I saw that. Some of those places that we were going on lives beforehand are not there anymore. Some of these homes are gone. Literally, like Horseshoe Beach. Remember we were at Horseshoe Beach? Some of those, remember that houseboat that we got? All that Horseshoe Beach there, some of those places are no longer there. There's footage out there. People got drones out there. I don't know how they got out there. Maybe they were residents, stayed around, or maybe they just went to the edge of the island and took a drone up. Some of those places are not there. The homes went off their foundation. And it was like, wow. Yesterday, remember I went to Dark Island and I saw the cats? I'm really saddened about those cats. I really am, because someone posted on Twitter, and I retweeted it. They posted on Twitter. Someone from that island, Dark Island, had a camera on their second story stilt helm, and they were facing, and it was entire storm surge over there. The entire place was underwater. So I feel so bad for those cats because I don't know if they survived, man. And I try my best, man. But how could somebody just leave cats? Because you had enough time to get them off that island. You had enough time. I mean, clearly it looked like everyone was out of there by 5 p.m. the night before. You clearly could have. You had extra time. Now, did those cats survive? I don't know. It was so storm, like literally, it was up to people's second stories, and the wind and the water was, the water was at the top of palm trees. There, the surge hit there like over 10 feet. Over 10 feet there. Now the storm surging Cedar Key. Remember we were at Cedar Key and they were expecting 15-foot storm surge. They did get a lot of storm surge, but I don't think they got as much as they expected, though they got a lot of damage. I think Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel tweeted out that it got almost about 7 feet storm surge there. 7 feet, which is a lot. It's a lot of storm surge. He was there and they were like, that business owner I spoke to right at there, those fishing, those old Wild West buildings that were right on the water there. The water went totally through her first floor. Sad. But I think some places up by Keaton Beach, Horseshoe Beach, I do believe they got over 10 feet storm surge up there. I seen the videos. You see the watermarks. Some people have been putting watermarks. I think it's all receded now in most places. So after that, I was in Perry. I was going from business to business. The T-Mobile store totally blown out. A lot of those places that did not have so a lot of those storefronts didn't have they didn't put up the wood. They didn't board up. And they had I guess the windows broke, and then it was kind of like a swirl goes into those stores and swirls and throws everything around. Dollar Tree collapsed. McDonald's sign down. Most of the fast food signs, windows blown out, signs gone. A couple of businesses, roofs gone. I was like, whoa. So after that in Perry, and then everybody's like, alarms are going off. Alarms are going off. Surveillance, or like sirens are going off, because it's like, like soon as I got off my live with the all, I kind of like packed my stuff up and started driving. And it's still windy, it's still, things are blowing around, and I'm navigating and seeing what's going on. Well, then I wanted to say, hey, I want to go down to Keaton Beach where the eye hit to see what's up. And there's like one road, I don't know the road's name, but the road was just destroyed with, as far as just covered with trees. It was impassable. And I went halfway. It was like a 20-mile trek, and I'm following like a convoy of pickup trucks and Taylor County sheriffs, and we're going down roads, and then we're going off the roads, because I'm in an SUV and you have to go under power lines and trees. And some of the residents that live along that road were coming out, taking pictures, standing out there. I drive by, roll down my window, said, have you ever seen anything like this? They've said, no. Because from Perry to Keaton Beach is lots of pine trees. It's just full of pine trees along that. It's just rural. It's full of pine trees, or whatever trees. They look like pine trees to me. Trees. So it got about halfway, and then basically there was just a stoppage. And the emergency personnel were coming, and they they couldn't get to Keaton Beach. So then one of the sheriffs comes back and tell a lot of us, hey, just turn around. We're going to be here for a while. I mean, they didn't tell us to leave. They were just like, you best turn around. It's going to be hours. And I talked to the one sheriff, and he was like, they don't even know what's going on. They were on their way to Keaton Beach to survey the day. They didn't know if it was flooded. They didn't know if people survived. They didn't know anything. So they were there trying to get out there. So kudos to the Taylor County Sheriff's Office, because those sheriffs were out there like immediately after that hurricane. They were out there on patrol, and they were trying to get to Keaton Beach. Keaton Beach. It was a sign with those different dark island. I think it was called Cedar Beach. At that point, I turned around and I went back up to Perry, and then I started shooting down U.S. Highway 98, and the whole highway was full of power lines halfway down. So normal, and I live about 2.5 hours from there down to the south. My area got water too, by the way. Look at that. That was like a landing. It was like a helicopter landing in the water. Or one of those planes that land in the water. Bird. I didn't get flooding here, but there was flooding in my area. Like storm surge, like maybe like 2-3 feet. Post office where I get my mail, underwater. That area is really low line though. But it normally takes 2.5 hours to get home. Took me like 5 hours. I did half the time. At one point, Crystal River, I don't know if you guys ever been to Crystal River. Something happened there on US Highway 19 in Crystal River because they were not letting anyone go. You had to go take a detour. So I had to go like all the way out to Dunellen and then shoot down and then back onto US Highway 19. But I think I covered the storm good. I'm going to check out the areas around here on the coastline because they like Tarpon Springs, Florida, close to me. They got pretty, the sponge docks all underwater. Not underwater completely. I'm saying like surge put it up there pretty high. Businesses got damaged. It's amazing how all this surge below the storm was able to do damage to all these communities hundreds of miles, over 100 miles away. 100 to 200 miles away, and they still received, there was surge down there in Fort Myers. All the way up. And nice to see no looting. I don't know what you guys' positions are on the governor of Florida, but he came out with a press conference yesterday. He was in Perry. Governor went to Perry, where I think Perry is like where the most damage was done. I think a structural wise damage was in Perry out of all this, because on the coastline where it hit Keaton Beach, there's not much there. But he said, the governor was like, pretty much said, you loot, we shoot. He did say that. You loot, we shoot. He's like, just come band together, don't loot, don't do anything bad, don't do property crime, don't take advantage of people that lost their stuff. You loot, we shoot. Like, don't go on other people's property thinking you're going to, try to steal people in a vulnerable situation. Not cool. Not cool at all. So, hopefully there's no looting around. When I was up there, as we saw on a lot of my lives, the people were very friendly. They band together. They're nice. The atmosphere up in that area is a lot different than the atmosphere where I live, towards Pinellas County, because like Pinellas County, Central Florida, Tampa area, everyone's kind of edgy. They're nice, but it's just like up there, the locals are very hospitality is pretty good. Any gators in the water? Yes, there's gators in the water. Sometimes they come up. They might come up and bite me, eat me. But it's hot again. It's hot again in Florida. The storm comes through, you get a temporary relief. I was actually cold when that rain was coming down. I was actually kind of cold. It was like, I don't think the high yesterday where I was at went over 80. Like, I think all that, it was so rainy and, the storm came through. I think it stayed in the 70s. But I was soaking wet. Soaking wet. But now it's back up to 90. Back up to 90 degrees, everyone. But I think we're going to get a cold front that comes through this weekend, and I think the temperature's going down in the 70s. Clearwater got storm surge. I don't know if it actually went across the island, but they definitely were the beaches and went all the way up. Went all the way up to where the Pier 60 starts. But they were saying that, hurricane season starts. It started already, but they're saying, like, people are saying the peak of it, is not for another 10 more days. Look at when Ian hit last year in South Florida. It was like later. How is Georgia and Hilton Head, South Carolina? I've seen a lot of flooding there. I don't know anything about the surge or anything down in the Carolinas, but the storm went up. Valdosta got hit pretty hard. Hit Apollo Beach, Gibsonton, and Riverview too. That's only like 75. Tampa Bay, that's surge. Now, I don't know if this is contributed to climate change. I don't know anything like that. I know that historically we get storms. Are storms getting worse? Is flooding getting worse? Is storm surge getting worse? I don't know. Media is there to see these type of things. Media wasn't there 100 years ago. I don't know if this is just normal cycles, if this just occurs, or if there's really a ongoing problem and these things are getting worse. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm just a guy that goes into storms now. Storm Chaser JLR reporting live in a Cat 5. Storm Chaser JLR reporting live from a Cat 5. What's going to happen, folks? Tybee Island? I don't know. Cedar Key, you can't go back to Cedar Key. They're saying that you have to have one of those residential pass things that they give the residents there. You have to have it. They're going to intercept you at the bridge to go over there. And then, if you're a resident, you can go if you're an essential worker. Is media essential? Essentials? Workers? I think media is considered essentials. What's an essential worker? Medical? Storm Chaser JLR in a Cat 5. But yeah, I'm doing it again. I think we're going to cover storms here. It's doing true crime. We know we do true crime. I'm actually going to read Brian Kohlberger documents in a little bit. I got a few things I got to take care of domestically. But I think we're going to I think on this channel, we're going to cover true crime or storm chasing. Media is essential because they tell us to take cover. They relay the information to the public of what needs to be done, what is going on. I do think media is essential. I'm going to have to Google around and see, is media considered essential workers? And if not, they should. The media should be going out there, filming and broadcasting and sharing what is the latest development in communities because it can help. If the media is there telling people you can't go to a certain location, then the media is relaying the information. Somebody said Alicia Watts case. We know Alicia Watts has been found. Dunmore is going through the process. He'll most likely be held accountable. Why he did it? Maybe he confessed. We'll read the court documents as they come along. Maybe work a deal out. Lincoln Lanham case. Take care. Check out the Latham. Your comments come through, and I'm reading them as they come through. Latham. So what are we doing next? What's next, folks? What is next on the JLR? Latham. Thank you. Latham. Latham. Lynham Latham. Where's Lynham Latham from? What's going on with this case? Is that the one out of Beverly Hills? Somebody sent me some information out of Beverly Hills. What's going on in Beverly Hills, everyone? Laundry. So is this going to be true crime or storm chasing or both? Bobby Swain, both. I think, in this channel we go where the news goes, like, where trending stuff goes, where compelling stories go, where the action goes, action-packed. We go on this channel where the action is, on a wide range of topics. I was in Atlanta the other day, covering, the criminal stuff, Trump and the, 19 defendants in I was up there. I go where the action is to see what's going on. Like catastrophes, disasters, Mother Nature events, trials. I got the scanner at my home whenever something nearby, like a fire or some sort of missing person, missing people. We do it all on this channel. But we like to get out. We like to get out to these places, not just sit at one location or stay at home or whatever like that. Carol Murray said, I saw you in my hotel in Atlanta. Nice. Nice. Communications and IT are essential workers, so if that's you, JLR, I Googled it. That's me. The governor's home was struck governor's mansion was struck by a 100-year-old tree. Old trees. Get 2 channels. Somebody says, get 2 channels. No, I like this channel. We'll do both. Sometimes I might be covering things you might not like. You could skip over and wait till and see when I cover something you might like. It's like turning the channel. It's like turning the channel on your remote, right? You might have a network you watch, right? You might have ABC you watch, and there might be one show on ABC you like, but the other shows on ABC you might not like. You just turn it off, and then if the show comes back on that you like or something you're interested, you turn back on. Boom. So there might be some things you like on this channel sometimes, and sometimes you don't, or whatever. You can come back, you can leave, you can come back. But we like to see where the action is. We like to do true crime too, or travel, true crime and travel from locations to locations. We like to see the communities. We like to talk to residents. We like to hear compelling stories, human trends. Human trends. Somebody said, find out what happened to the Obama chef. The chef. I need a chef. I can't cook. What's your cooking skills like, everyone? Everyone got cooking skills? Can guys really cook? Not trying to say that like guys can't cook, but can guys cook? Am I saying women can cook? I don't know. People can cook. Some people can do it. Some people can't. I can't cook. Maybe put some Roman soups. Maybe a frozen pizza. Some oatmeal in a bowl. But I can't literally cook. So usually I either get takeout, Grubhub, Uber Eats. I don't know. So what are some of those famous chefs? How about Chef Boyardee? He can cook. The chef. Chef Boyardee. I like Chef Boyardee. Maybe I'll do a cooking channel. JLR, True Crime and Cooking. Baking. We're baking a cake, people. We're baking a cake. When Kohlberger gets convicted, we're baking a Brian Kohlberger's guilty cake. We're still talking about the Kohlberger case. The media is fighting back. Oh, okay, so I'm going to go live in a little bit. We're going to talk about those court documents and my views with the Brian Kohlberger case. I'll just say that I might be intervening in his case as a journalist to get information that is being withheld to the public, just like the media people are doing. So we'll talk about that on another live later on today. We'll talk about that. But where's the next hurricane? I'm addicted. I'm ready. I want that hurricane fix. Where's the next hurricane? Where are we going next? Are we going out into the Atlantic Ocean on a boat to intercept one? Gordon Ramsay. He said Gordon Ramsay. I was thinking some of those. Bobby Flay, Martha Stewart, Paula Deen. You ever eat at Paula Deen's restaurant in Georgia? Pretty good. You're hooked. You're hooked on hurricanes. I'm hooked on hurricanes, people. Hooked on hurricanes. I hope not Louisiana. Louisiana gets some very vicious hurricanes, but usually they're not in populated areas. And I had to be smart too, because I still don't want to actually, unless it's, I've learned, like I rented a car. I rented a car yesterday, I rented a car. So it wasn't damage on my car, and it's fully insured. So that's the advantage there. And I wanted an SUV, heavy little SUV, even if it was compact SUV. So at this point, seeing what I saw yesterday, I don't think I'd be afraid to drive into a Cat 3. When I say drive, is like if I'm in a situation where there's no hotels around and there's nowhere to seek shelter to cover the storm, I would consider being in my car and drive into the eye, or where the eye wall is, in a Cat 3. So I learned that you can do it in a Cat 3 with this, because while this hurricane was going on, I could see storm chasing vehicles go up and down that highway. They were following, whatever. Just got to worry about the flooding and the surge coming off the water. So I will definitely do a 3, a 2, and a 1. I would definitely do a hurricane, a 2 or a 1 on the coast. Knowing if the surge does come in, I would have to worry about my vehicle. And I saw some of the good storm chasers, the meteorologists like Jim Cantore and Reed Timmer. They stayed on Cedar Key. They got some epic footage to show you how powerful the storm was. But they were Reed kind of goes out in it. Cantore was on on someone's home, and he was reporting, and you could see below. And Reed kind of meandered around. I don't know how he got around, but that's cool. But you're stuck on the island. Maybe I'll do that next time. But I would drive in a 1 and a 2 or a 3. 4 or 5, I don't think at this time I'm not, because even though they're saying once it goes up, more powerful, times the amount. We're gonna try a 4. Rarely do we get a 5. We act like 5s happen all the time. They actually don't. Steen Hatchie, be safe, JLR from Gainesville. Steen Hatchie. Thank you, Eddie McCormick. Steen Hatchie. The Steen Hatchie River. They got bad. Remember, I was there and I was like, well, I don't think they're going to get a lot of damage because it was high up. They actually got a lot of surge there. Remember the place where I went? Remember the place I went where the people were talking on their golf carts and they're like, we're going to have a pizza party? That area. It got hit. That area got hit hard. A lot of people stick around, or media, they'll start posting what's going on on Twitter. So if you want, what I would do is, if you were curious to know about what happens in each community, just put the keyword in Twitter. So put Suwannee, put Cedar Key in Twitter, and a lot of the footage comes out. The Weather Channel, Cantore and Timmer pretty much nailed Cedar Key. I mean, it was really only those two were really in Cedar Key pumping out what was going on there. And it was kind of good because they were pumping out what was going on in Cedar Key while I was waiting and other people were waiting up by Perry and Keaton Beach. We're kind of getting an idea about the storm by the surge and everything like that, because when they were reporting, it still hasn't hit up there yet. Because I was in the hotel, we had the Weather Channel, and I was tweeting away and looking around, waiting for the storm. How much billions of damages will this storm? Some of these storms, billions, if it hits more populated area, more residential, commercial businesses. I don't know. Maybe we'll have like maybe this will end up being like a $10 billion storm. But ultimately, for the citizens of Florida, the residents actually suffer. All the residents suffer after these things happen because your insurance rates go up. Or some communities, they won't insure anymore. And I don't understand that. There got to be. I don't understand the economics of insurance, and I don't know if they're greedy or what their deal is, and why they insure one place or you've been insured for 30 years on something. You're paying them, you're paying your premiums, and then when you finally get damaged, they try to be reluctant to pay or put up a big fight. There got to be some sort of, because I'm hearing horror stories. Like somebody will pay like 30 years. They'll pay like $200 a month on insurance, 30 years, and then nothing happens. And then they get that storm and they get some damage to their home, and then the insurance company says, oh, well, there's different writings in the policy. And then, if they get flood damage, they say, well, it was because of hurricane flooding, and you didn't have hurricane flooding insurance. We're not going to cover you. And after you've been paying them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for years. And then maybe, some communities, you get insurance, and then after it comes through, they suddenly just drop you. Definitely, maybe that should be investigated. Maybe we should investigate the insurance companies on the JLR channel. Maybe we should go to the CEOs of these insurance companies and walk up to them in a camera and ask them the tough questions and see what they say. Oh, no comment. The CEO of Allstate. Hey, JLR investigates. This is the CEO of Allstate. How come you're not insuring the people of Florida properly? What do you have to say to people that call you out? Things like that. Maybe I should. Why the rates keep going up. State Farm, Allstate, Geico. Your rates go up. Makes it less affordable. No, I pay a lot here. Every year it goes higher. And usually when you don't get affected, because you have to, everyone has to pay. Everyone has to pay the piper when these storms come through. I didn't see any price gouging out there. Most of the gas stations stayed their price. A lot of times you have these storms and the gas, like normally gas around here is $3.60. You'll have one station that tries to milk it and try to put gas $4.50. Try to price gouge it in a dire situation. Shame on anyone that does that. Tries to capitalize and overcharge people. Shame on anyone. And there's shady people that do that. Normally gas is $3.60, and they know that they can push it out $4.50 a gallon and get away with it during a vulnerable time. Well, there's actually laws. If you see that going on, you see someone price gouging generators, price gouging bags, whatever. Report them. Report them to your attorney general. In Florida, that would be Ashley Moody. Price gougers. We say no to price gougers. And also beware, people, of contractors, unlicensed contractors that will go to these communities after a disaster happens and start door knocking and saying, I'll fix your roof and I'll clean up your mess. And, they could be like gypsy people that come from all over the place, and they try to ask for money up front and then not do the job. I've heard stories like that too. Like they take advantage of vulnerable people. They try to get you a discount, but they want the money up front. And then they don't do the work, or they just do a half job on your work. Be careful of those type of people too. If you were affected in your community, or you had stuff and you need fixed, do your research on the person you hire. Do your research. A lot of scammers out there that take advantage of vulnerable people. Be aware of charities, fake charities out there. Fake GoFundMes and GoFundMes. Like, a lot of times, believe it or not, GoFundMe start going up, and it'll be like a picture of someone's house that's underwater, and there'll be some fake sob story saying, oh, I'm disabled, or I have a bunch of kids and our house has been ruined. Please donate to the GoFundMe, trying to, get your heart. And it's a scam. They just take someone's pictures and post it up on GoFundMe. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like that, but do your research. If you do want to help, do your research on organizations that are doing charities or whatnot. A lot of these 501c, a lot of them don't use the money. Some of them do. I'm not saying everything. Everything I'm saying, sometimes it's good. But, do your research on everything. Like as far as, donating your money, or getting help. A lot of these charities, most of the money goes to expenses. Where were those kitties? I hope they survived. Man, Karen, Broderick, I hope they survived too. The kitties is still on my mind. The cats on that island. We saw 4. We saw a black cat. We saw 2 white and black cats and a baby cat. And they were being taken care of because someone had food out on them. There were bowls out there and there was canned foods under that pavilion there on Dark Island. Someone could have grabbed those cats. Where would the cats go? I mean, the cats could maybe go up on they are resilient and they could probably climb a tree. But man, maybe we go back there to Dark Island and look for the cats and see if they survive. Wouldn't that be a miracle if we went to Dark Island and those same cats were out there? I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go up there in a few days and go and see if we can find the cats. That would just be the most awesome sight to see if there's cats. That would be a story itself, We were already there live. We saw the footage. I posted some videos on Twitter about the storm surge that was just massive there. Everything was underwater there. But imagine we go back in a couple days and the cats are still there. That'd be like amazing Survivor story. Please look for them. Please do. Maybe I'll Google around and see if I can contact someone that lives on that island and ask them about the cats. Dark Island. If you're a Dark Island resident out there, can you contact me, jlr@jlrinvestigates.com. I'd love to hear your story. They went on top of the building, and I bet they are just fine. You would think if water's starting to rush, first off, cats can swim. But they have a sense, they have this sense to know when something happens before it happens. Before an earthquake. You ever see these cats, reactions on home cams? Before an earthquake hits, just seconds before they know to run. They have this thing where they know something's about to happen before we happen. Or before we know it happens. Yeah, I'm worried about the kitties. Cats are very smart. All right, everyone. I'm going to be back. I survived Hurricane Idalia. Ready for the next hurricane. We'll talk about Brian Kohlberger in a bit. I got some things I got to handle. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the notification button. We're out in the field. We go to locations that others do not dare go to. We go to locations to the front of the lines, to the fire. We go to the fire on this channel. We go right there. And we will continue to do that on this channel. We will continue to go to these danger zones so you can see firsthand where the action is. That's what we do. Appreciate everyone I met out in the community out there in North Florida, the Storm Chasers. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for your hospitality, your insight, your knowledge. Thank you. We thank our law enforcement out there. We thank our first responders and our personnel that are out there patrolling the streets, making sure everyone's safe, rescuing people, helping people. We appreciate all that. You're sacrificing your life to help others. That is a service. That is bravery. Heroes. Heroes. Law enforcement up there doing their best. The best they can possibly do. I'm telling you, right after the hurricane, they were out there. They didn't cower. They were out there. They were out there patrolling and helping. In Taylor County, I saw it. They maybe hunkered down But as soon as that thing was safe enough to get out there, and pretty much when the wind started calming down, they were still out there when the winds were going, but they were out there. And maybe they were out there the entire time. But I saw them patrolling. I saw them out there working with communities, chainsawing wood to get out, clear the roads. They were out there. So kudos to law enforcement. We'll talk soon, guys. Have a great day. JLR investigates.